In our modern world, we have more comfort, more technology, and more opportunities than any generation before us. Yet depression rates are at an all-time high. Anxiety is everywhere. People feel empty despite having everything they thought they wanted. If you've ever wondered why success doesn't bring happiness, or why getting what you want still leaves you feeling unfulfilled, then this story will change how you see everything. Stay with me till the end. In a bustling suburb of Chicago lived a successful businessman named Marcus. At 35, he had everything most people dream of. A six-figure salary as a marketing director, a beautiful house in an upscale neighborhood, a BMW in the driveway, and a loving wife named Jennifer. By all measures, Marcus should have been happy, but he wasn't. Every morning, Marcus would wake up feeling empty. He'd go through the motions of his day, checking emails, attending meetings, closing deals, but inside, something was missing. He felt like he was running on a treadmill, always moving, but never getting anywhere that mattered. Jennifer noticed the change in her husband. "Marcus, you've been distant lately. What's wrong?" she would ask, but Marcus couldn't explain it. How do you tell someone that despite having everything, you feel like you have nothing? Marcus tried to fill the emptiness in different ways. He bought a bigger TV, upgraded to the latest iPhone, joined an expensive gym, bought designer clothes. Each purchase gave him a brief moment of excitement, but the feeling always faded quickly, leaving him emptier than before. One weekend, feeling particularly low, Marcus decided to visit his grandfather, William, who lived in a small town 2 hours outside the city. William was 78 years old, lived in a modest house, drove an old pickup truck, and had worked as a carpenter his whole life. Yet every time Marcus visited, he noticed something he couldn't understand. His grandfather always seemed genuinely happy and content. When Marcus arrived at his grandfather's house, he found William in his workshop, humming while he carved a small wooden bird. The old man's face lit up when he saw his grandson. "Marcus, what a wonderful surprise. How are you, son?" Marcus forced a smile. "I'm fine, Grandpa. Just thought I'd visit." But William, with the wisdom that comes with age, could see through the facade. "You don't look fine, son. You look like a man carrying a heavy burden. Want to talk about it?" Marcus hesitated, then decided to open up. "Grandpa, I don't understand what's wrong with me. I have everything I ever wanted, but I feel empty inside. I'm successful. I have money, a great wife, a nice house. Why am I not happy?" William set down his carving tools and looked at his grandson thoughtfully. "Marcus, let me tell you a story that might help you understand." The old man led Marcus to the back porch, where they sat in wooden rocking chairs overlooking a small garden. "Many years ago," William began, "there was a young man who lived in a big city. He was obsessed with collecting beautiful buckets. He had buckets made of gold, silver, crystal, and rare wood. His house was filled with hundreds of magnificent buckets, each more beautiful than the last." Marcus listened intently as his grandfather continued. "This man spent all his time and money acquiring new buckets. He traveled the world, visited the finest craftsmen, bought the most expensive and rare buckets money could buy. People admired his collection. They called him the greatest bucket collector in the world. But here's the strange thing." William paused, looking at Marcus meaningfully. "Despite having all these beautiful buckets, the man was always thirsty. He could never quench his thirst. Do you know why?" Marcus shook his head, curious where this was going. Because all his buckets were empty. He had spent so much time collecting containers that he forgot to fill them with water. He was surrounded by beauty, but had nothing to nourish his soul. The old man leaned forward in his chair. "Son, I think you've been collecting empty buckets your whole life." Marcus felt something stir inside him. "What do you mean, Grandpa?" "Your job, your house, your car, your salary, these are all buckets. Beautiful buckets, impressive buckets, expensive buckets. But what are they filled with? What purpose do they serve beyond just being containers? William stood up and walked to his small garden where tomatoes and peppers were growing. You see this garden? It's not much to look at. No fancy landscaping, no expensive plants. But it feeds people. It has purpose. When I give fresh vegetables to my neighbors, when I make a meal for someone who's sick, this little garden becomes more valuable than the fanciest lawn in your suburb. Marcus began to understand, but William wasn't finished. That wooden bird I was carving when you arrived? It's for Mrs. Peterson next door. Her husband passed away last month, and she's been lonely. It's not worth much money, but it's filled with care, with time, with the intention to bring a little joy to someone who needs it. The old man sat back down. Marcus, happiness isn't about having beautiful buckets. It's about what you fill them with. Your job could be a bucket filled with purpose. Are you helping people? Creating something meaningful? Making a positive difference? Your house could be a bucket filled with love and memories. Are you creating a home where people feel welcomed and valued? Your money could be a bucket filled with generosity. Are you using it to help others, to support causes you believe in? Marcus felt tears forming in his eyes as the truth hit him. I've been collecting achievements and possessions, but I haven't been filling them with meaning. Exactly. William nodded. You've been measuring your life by how many buckets you have and how beautiful they are, instead of asking what purpose they serve. That's why you feel empty. You're surrounded by containers, but they're all hollow. That night, Marcus stayed at his grandfather's house. They talked until late about life, purpose, and what really matters. Marcus realized that his grandfather, despite having so much less materially, was rich in ways that money couldn't buy. He had meaningful relationships. He helped his community. He created things with his hands. He found joy in simple pleasures. Over the next few months, Marcus began to change his life. He started volunteering at a local food bank on weekends. He used his marketing skills to help small businesses in his community grow. He and Jennifer began hosting dinner parties, filling their beautiful house with laughter and friendship. They started a college fund not just for their future children, but to help underprivileged kids in their neighborhood. Marcus didn't quit his job or sell his house. He kept his buckets, but now he filled them with purpose. His work became about more than just closing deals. He focused on helping his clients succeed and grow. His home became more than just a status symbol. It became a place where people felt loved and welcomed. The emptiness that had plagued Marcus for years began to fade. He realized that happiness isn't about acquiring more buckets. This about filling the ones you have with meaning, purpose, love, and service to others. 6 months later, when Marcus visited his grandfather again, William smiled and said, "You look different, son. You look like a man whose buckets are full." Marcus hugged his grandfather tightly. "Thank you for teaching me that it's not about what we have, but what we do with what we have." The truth is, we live in a culture that teaches us to collect buckets, more money, bigger houses, fancier cars, more followers, more likes, more stuff. But no amount of empty buckets will ever make us happy. Happiness comes from filling our lives with purpose, meaning, relationships, and service to something greater than ourselves. Look at your own life. What buckets are you collecting? And more importantly, what are you filling them with? Your career, your relationships, your time, your talents? These are all buckets waiting to be filled with something meaningful. Stop chasing more buckets and start filling the ones you already have. That's where true happiness lives. If this story helped you see your life differently, give it a like and share what buckets you want to start filling in the comments. Remember, a life of purpose is always more fulfilling than a life of possessions.